That's it. I'm getting used to the timing of this. So, welcome back, everybody. We know that the power of the month is will. So here we are, and when we know it's August because of that, we've been doing the powers for quite some time, but I find they're good for hooking up with other subjects as well. Will is the power for the other faculties and the motive for it as well. It moves into action all we need to do to be disciplined and demonstrate in our life what we want to achieve. Unity lists that there are 12 powers. Well, there's probably more than that, but 12 will do for me for this lifetime, I think. The revealing word, compiled by Charles Fillmore, states the number 12 refers to spiritual fulfillment. The 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 tribes of Israel, and the 12 months of the year, and there are more. I just couldn't think of any this morning, but I know there are others. Faith, strength, wisdom, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, elimination, and life. But so to repeat, the motive will is the motive of all the other powers. Mind you, you can pick any two and put them together in your own way. I've just at random: faith, life; understanding, zeal; imagination, power. So once again, will is that motive for all the other powers of our mind. Now, we are responsible for our life, and willpower is essential to keep us motivated on this eternal journey of soul expansion in whatever place we happen to be. So, does willpower come naturally? Well, with some things, yes. But there are many times we need discipline. Discipline comes in a form of mental control, emotional control, and spiritual control. These are separate and distinctive controls which one must develop. But let not our hearts be troubled. These do not come in a day. They often take years to develop. And they may be strong at one point in our life, but weaker in another. We need willpower as we make our way in the world, especially in the first half of life, where we step out into the world full of confidence and fall over flat sometimes, and we learn by trial and error. And then, of course, in the second part of life, we've got time to look back. And one of the interesting observations, as I'm finding on my journey, and as I've spoken to some of our older elders of our group, illumination doesn't necessarily mean 1,000 angels flapping their wings with joy. It's a time when you look back and you can actually see the results of our actions. And that in itself is pretty scary. But we look back and say, thank you for the experience, because we have time to reflect on it, learn from it, and move on, and forgive ourselves, forgive our young years, not be too hard on ourselves and think, well, here I am, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life, but I'm still now more aware than I was when I was younger. And it's in the second part of our life we can quite often do this. I know many people that have retired, and they say, well, they're busier, they are retired than they were when they were working. And I understand that. But we see some people that don't seem to have a goal or an interest, And I look at them and think, gee, thank goodness I have my interests. But I still have to have the discipline to structure the day. And I know when I eventually do fully retire, I will have to structure the day. And I just think about some of those things I used to love. I used to love herbs. So I'll have a herb garden. And I'll practice a little bit more on the piano. I'll do some of those wonderful old sonatas we never had a chance to learn because we were so busy doing an exam with the sonatas that were on the syllabus. So, as I said, when we're younger, we have all these dreams of what we want to be. I look back at some of the ridiculous things that I thought I'd like to be. We lived near a train line. I wanted to be a train driver. My goodness. I'm glad I moved on from that, especially when the trains now are driving themselves in some places around the world. Sometimes we think we want to be, a great teacher, musician, artist, and it takes time for us to develop these things. So how do we develop willpower? We might have a talent for something, but we need more. I remember when I first started at the conservatorium, there was a lady, the lecturer there, Mrs. Barwell. There's all of us there, budding pianists. We thought we were going to be the next world concert pianist. And she looked at us all and said, "Many are chosen, few are called." And those ones that were called did have a natural creativity, but they were there to go further. And there was another saying which echoed in my mind, and that was creativity without craft. So we might be able to have a talent for sketching, but we can take it to another level. Now, there's a book I've mentioned in the past. I've got it here. Robert Sharma. He's written a book called The 5 a.m. Club. I've talked about this before, but it's so scary I'm going to talk about it again. The subtitle is Own Your Own Morning. Elevate your life. And he writes about how great things and great geniuses, business tycoons and others, the world's widest people, wildest and wisest, start their morning early to produce astonishing remarks. Now, I know that's true. When I was younger, I used to get up reasonably early, but he claims that world-class willpower isn't an inborn strength. It's a skill developed through relentless practice, and he says getting up at dawn is the perfect self-control training. For most of us, especially during these unusual times and in the middle of winter, it takes willpower to even do the most basic things. This winter it's colder than usual, and you've heard me say it, and I'm going to say it again because it's something we can all learn. I have to resort, I have to say, to a very famous mantra. And I learnt once upon a time that if I say something or think something, I have to do it. Don't put it off until tomorrow. So if I say I'm going to answer that letter, I have to do it now because I won't have any rest for the rest of the day. So, as a last resort to get out of bed, I keep it to a last resort, and then I say to myself out loud that Charles Fillmore mantra, I fairly zizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me today. Then I just have to get up. Ouch. But I do. And then once I'm up, it's great because, I've got the heating on here now and everything's fine. But it is very, very bleak these cold mornings. So how do we develop it? He goes further in this book. He states 4 principles that help us get more out of life, especially when we feel lethargic. They're quite scary. The first one is the trigger. The second is the ritual. The third is the reward, and the fourth is repetition. So the trigger. What would get you out of bed in the morning when you really couldn't be bothered? Well, we know we've got the alarm clock, but sometimes, you can turn it off just like that. And we've got other things we can do. I knew someone that programmed at 5 o'clock when they got this book, bagpipes. And if you wake up to a bagpipe, it's terrible if it's loud. Even putting your head under the cover doesn't make any difference. So you have to get up and turn the darn thing off across the room. And there are other triggers too, like once when we were having a camp for our Sunday school, if anyone wouldn't get up, the training master used to have a bucket of water. And if no one was up, he'd come forward with the water. So you got up. It's very sadistic now. You'd never get away with it if you were a leader in a group with things like that. Anyway, number 2 is the ritual. And the ritual, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Okay, I get up, 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't think I ever did 5 o'clock. I did 6 o'clock when I was doing my music diploma. And I go straight to the piano and start playing in the middle of winter in St Kilda. And the wind was howling outside. I could see the sea. But once you start, you get going. After about 5 minutes, you think, oh, what took me so long? It's wonderful. So we just do it. Just start doing it. Then the reward. It's done. It feels good. It feels good. And sometimes in my older age, I reward myself with a glass of wine at 5 o'clock. I hope that's not too upsetting for some people, but I just think the day's over. I'm going to do my thing now, and I've got my routine at night. So there it is. It's done. But it's only done for that one time. So here comes number 4, the repetition. Every day you keep doing it. Every day. One situation which has happened over the past few years is that Zoom has made it so that all of us can study and attend meetings and seminars around the world. This is wonderful because Jesus said, go and preach my gospel to the whole world. And we can now. But the downside of that is adjusting to the times overseas. I used to feel guilty about missing a few of these seminars because of the time. As we know, our Sunday is Saturday in the US. And there are so many little things that go on. But it's our Sunday. And anyway, Reverend Sylvia and I were we still are, representatives of the International New Thought Alliance. And the New Thought movement is quite a big movement, and they've got all their stuff stored at Unity Village now, which is fascinating. And they used to have sessions that started at 9 in the morning, which meant I'd have to be at my best at 2 in the morning. So, and I'm not at my best regardless. So I decided only to attend their evening service at 7:30 p.m, where there it was a comfortable, their 7:30 p.m. evening there was a comfortable 9:30 a.m. here. And here again, it took willpower to make me not feel guilty for not doing something I really didn't want to do at that time. Now, our journey is just as vital as the next person's journey. It is our chance to expand our consciousness further, and we give thanks for those people who've been further ahead of us to share the way. James Dillett Friedman wrote 2 years ago, 2 different approaches to the same truth. The spiritual seeker of today has the advantage of the consciousness of all humankind behind us. And we've had wonderful talks on this over the years. And when we do our Unity 5 principles, which we'll be doing again next week after the service, we go through all that ancient wisdom, which is condensed down to 5 principles. And that saying about James Freeman, I'll clear that one up. Just as those who have paved the way for us, we pave the way for the next generation, which is seeing the coming together of science and spirituality. So it's all together, it's all there for us, and we are so lucky to have those way shows from the past and to have groups like Unity, Divine Science, Science of Mind, and other New Thought groups around the planet, and people starting to become aware of them. So to do all this, we have to have the power of will. We need it on all levels, body, mind, soul, and spirit. We have our teachers and books, but the point comes at one time or another, we have to do the work. The 5th Unity principle states, knowing and understanding the laws of life are not enough. A person must know the truth he or she knows. They must live the truth that they know. They must demonstrate it in their daily life. This takes willpower. So we are all a microcosm in the macrocosm. And what affects us affects all. We aim to use our power of imagination for the good of all, not just with ourselves in mind, but with other people as well. We can ask ourselves, am I willing to accept the responsibility that goes with the use of my creative imagination? We can combine the power of imagination in line with all the other 12 powers we've been studying. And we can use it in any way we want, especially with prosperity and abundance in our lives. But we need to demonstrate it, and we need to put it into practice. So to sum up, does my personal will reflect the universal law of harmony? And as an expanding soul in evolution, can I use my own will to live in harmony with my fellow human beings and all creation? It's up to us as spirit to decide. Not my will, but thy will be done. Choose you this day who you will serve, say the prophets. Thank you.